Imagine a visitor from a time so remote that our sun itself had not yet been born, a relic from an era when the galaxy looked nothing like it does today. An object wandering the frozen void of interstellar space for 7 billion years, drifting silently through radiation, gravity wells, and stellar graveyards, has somehow chosen this precise moment to arrive at our cosmic doorstep. Even our most advanced models, the ones built to predict every orbital twitch, wobble, and resonance in the solar system, are coming up empty. They don't just disagree, they fail completely. They cannot explain why it's here, why now, or why its path looks the way it does. Today is January 22nd, 2026. This is not just another date on the calendar. This is the date every serious astronomer on the planet has had circled in red for months, some for years. We are currently at the peak of what's being called the Great Alignment. As we speak, Earth is positioned directly between the Sun and this mysterious interstellar visitor known as 3I/Atlas, creating a geometric configuration that is vanishingly rare. And while the mainstream media is busy soothing the public with familiar labels, a rare interstellar comet, just another dirty snowball passing through, the raw data pouring in from this alignment is screaming something far more unsettling. We're not just looking at a chunk of ice tumbling through space. We are looking at a trajectory so precise, so clean, so mathematically elegant that it flies in the face of everything we know about cosmic chaos. Random encounters don't behave like this. Long-range gravitational perturbations don't produce this level of accuracy. Quick pause before we go any further. If this kind of deep space mystery is your thing, take a second to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and tap the notification bell so you're alerted whenever a new investigation drops. It's free. It only takes a moment. The algorithm genuinely loves it, and it's the best way to support what we do here. Now, back to the anomaly. Think about the sheer scale of what we are talking about here. This object did not come from our local neighborhood. It did not originate in the Oort cloud. It didn't even pass through nearby stellar systems. It came from the deep, dark, thick disk of the Milky Way, a region rarely associated with objects that survive intact for billions of years. It has crossed the galaxy, enduring supernova shockwaves, tidal forces, and gravitational traps, only to arrive at this exact coordinate, at this exact moment in human history, during a narrow window when our instruments are finally capable of noticing it. What the latest high-level models have just uncovered about this object's path through the inner planets is not merely a scientific anomaly or a statistical fluke. It is something that feels disturbingly intentional, borderline godlike. In this video, we are not just going to stare at fuzzy telescope images coming out of Chile and call it a day. We're going to peel back the layers of the official narrative piece by piece. We're going to talk about why NASA's Hubble Space Telescope quietly broke its own long-standing rules to observe this object. We're going to examine the anti-tale that, according to established physics, should not exist at all. And we're going to analyze leaked reports of a signal buried in the noise, a signal that has parts of the astronomical community not speaking publicly, but panicking in silence. Is this a natural visitor, a blind wanderer shaped by gravity and chance? Or are we staring straight into the lens of an interstellar observer that has been waiting patiently for us to finally wake up and notice it? I'd really like to hear your thoughts on that question. As you're watching, let me know in the comments where you land, natural anomaly, or something more deliberate. We genuinely want to read your opinions, especially thoughtful, constructive ones. We try to read as many as possible, and strong insights often inspire future deep dives. That is the question hanging over everything we are about to discuss. And to make any sense of the madness unfolding right now, we have to rewind and look carefully at how this story actually began. On July 1st, 2025, the Atlas Survey Telescope in Chile flagged a fast-moving dot in the constellation Sagittarius. At the time, it barely raised an eyebrow. Another blip, another object, just another line in a database filled with millions of them. Officially, it was labeled the third interstellar object ever detected, following in the footsteps of Oumuamua and Borisov. Case closed, or so it seemed. But within weeks, the safe, boring comet narrative began to crack, and then to completely fall apart. By September, nearly 70 research papers have been published or rushed into preprint servers. That kind of academic frenzy does not happen without a reason. Why the sudden obsession? Because 3I/Atlas was not simply passing through our solar system. It was doing things it was not supposed to do. Its speed, its trajectory, and its behavior were quietly challenging the foundations of our physics, forcing scientists to ask uncomfortable questions they were not prepared to answer publicly. It is notoriously difficult to secure time on NASA's Hubble Space Telescope. Most researchers wait months, sometimes years, to get a short observation window measured in minutes. Entire careers can pass without ever getting a slot. But for 3I/Atlas, something extraordinary happened. Hubble triggered a target of opportunity, a rare override that allows it to drop everything else and immediately focus on a single object. That alone should have set off alarm bells. Telescopes do not panic. People do. And what Hubble saw sent quiet shockwaves through the astronomical community. Its measurements of the object's nucleus came back wildly inconsistent, somewhere between 320 meters and 5.6 kilometers wide. Think about that for a moment. That is not a refined scientific measurement. That is a breathtaking margin of error. It is the equivalent of saying a structure is somewhere between the size of a garden shed and the Burj Khalifa. In astronomy, that kind of uncertainty usually means something is very wrong. My gut feeling? The reason they cannot lock down the size is because the light is not reflecting off a solid, predictable chunk of rock and ice. It's reflecting off something dynamic, unstable, possibly layered. A shifting shell or envelope that changes as it moves, something that refuses to behave the way natural objects are supposed to behave. And then we bring in the James Webb Space Telescope. Webb didn't just look at the object, it dissected it. Using its near-infrared spectrograph, it analyzed the chemical fingerprint of 3I/Atlas in extraordinary detail. What it found was deeply strange. 87% carbon dioxide, with almost no detectable water. This makes it one of the most carbon dioxide-rich objects ever recorded, an extreme outlier that doesn't fit neatly into any known comet category. But even that wasn't the real mystery. The real mystery was the anti-tail. Every comet you have ever seen in a textbook, documentary, or childhood poster follows the same basic rule. The tail always points away from the sun, pushed outward by solar radiation and the solar wind. That rule is almost sacred. And yet Hubble confirmed that 3I/Atlas violates it completely. Instead of flowing away, it has a tightly collimated jet shooting straight toward the sun, as if deliberately resisting the forces acting on it. A feature that, according to everything we think we know, simply should not exist. Mainstream astronomers say it's just dust fragmentation, icy grains surviving in a specific snow line. But I'm taking a stand right here. When you see a jet shooting directly at the sun for hundreds of thousands of kilometers, and when recent Hubble images show that jet wobbling with a precise 16-hour period, you are not looking at random dust. You're looking at a mechanism. Does a dirty snowball really skip the Hubble Q, defy solar pressure, and maintain a precessing jet for months? Or are we watching an interstellar traveler using its own internal logic to navigate our system? I want to hear from you in the comments. Is an anti-tail pointing at the sun just a freak of nature, or is it the first sign of an active propulsion system? Because what is happening right now is where this story gets truly bizarre. At the peak of this alignment, Earth, the sun, and 3I/Atlas reached a razor-thin phase angle of just 0.69 degrees. In standard astronomy, this is called an opposition surge, a minor flare in brightness as shadows disappear. But Atlas didn't just brighten. It defied the math. Astronomers found that its energy output didn't increase slightly. It exploded. 5 times more energy than the laws of physics predicted for an object at that distance. At this phase angle, the coherent backscatter effect should create a modest glow. Instead, what we're seeing looks less like a comet and more like a beacon. And then came the trajectory analysis. New models revealed something that stopped people cold. The path 3I/Atlas took into our system was not random. Its retrograde trajectory is aligned with the orbital plane of our planets to within 5 degrees. The probability of that happening by chance is just 0.2%. The Milky Way's disk is tilted nearly 60 degrees relative to our solar system. For an interstellar object to arrive almost perfectly level with our planets is a mathematical miracle. And it gets deeper. Hubble recently detected 3 mini-jets erupting from a nucleus. But they weren't random. They were separated by exactly 120 degrees, a perfect geometric triangle. Nature does not build engines with 120-degree symmetry. Even Avi Loeb has asked whether these could be propulsion devices used to reorient the object in three-dimensional space. Because 3I/Atlas is now heading toward a close encounter with Jupiter. Its projected distance, 53.6 million kilometers, is almost exactly the boundary of Jupiter's Hill sphere. Does a dirty snowball really hit a 0.2% orbital alignment, maintain perfect jet symmetry, and time its arrival to the edge of a planet's gravitational gate? My gut feeling is this is not a visitor. It's a choreographed arrival. And if the trajectory didn't raise enough red flags, the physical properties certainly will. Polarimetry studies revealed something never seen before, an exceptionally deep, narrow negative polarization branch. In plain English, the way this object reflects light is fundamentally different from any asteroid or comet we've ever studied. It suggests a surface that is either incredibly uniform or artificial. Then came the chemistry. While pumping out massive amounts of cyanide, Atlas showed an extreme depletion of carbon chain compounds. And yet amateur astronomers captured it glowing with a brilliant green hue, a color that shouldn't be possible given its chemistry. So where is the light coming from? If it's not a chemical reaction, then what is powering it? And finally, in the last 24 hours, reports began leaking from the radio astronomy community. A structured radio burst detected at 1,420 megahertz, the hydrogen line, the universal frequency SETI has listened to for decades. Unverified reports claim the signal follows a Fibonacci sequence. Official sources say it's just interference. But 3I/Atlas entered our system from within 9 degrees of the original WOW. Signal location. Coincidence or a return? FOIA requests were filed. The response was familiar. We can neither confirm nor deny. Since when does a dirty snowball become a matter of national security? By March 2026, Atlas will pass through Jupiter's gravitational gate and head back into interstellar space. And it isn't coming back. We have a closing window to understand what this object truly is. Is it a lucky rock? Or is it a sentinel? If something has been watching us for 7 billion years, are we even ready for what happens when it decides to speak back? And if you want to stay with us as this final window closes, the best way to support the channel is simple and free. Leave a like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss what comes next. And if you know someone who loves unsettling space mysteries, share this with them. Because if this object ever decides to speak back, you'll want to be here when it does.